How's it going, amazing people? So, we're back with some Tyrion Cuthbert, attorney of the Arcane. I will say, I kind of, I mentioned it in the middle of the video, last video. I may have continued a little, I continued the second case, this case, more. And I actually found it pretty exciting, and it makes me really wonder how the rest of these 3 cases are gonna look. So just because I really don't want to skip around with the posting, I'm gonna finish this case up in video, and after this one, hopefully I remember the answers correctly, and I didn't spoil much on it. I only spoiled one thing, but that was for the beginning of that was for the last video, but I didn't spoil anything for this one. So if you want to keep up with how the story was, I hope you enjoy this one. And also, sorry about that little bar thing in my above my PNG thing. That probably ruined the video, and I'm sorry about that. But I didn't notice it until now, so until later on, and I didn't want to start over, so sorry about that. But like I said, hope you enjoyed this one. We are going to the cemetery. Tyrion? What are we doing here? I'm not sure. For some reason, we felt drawn to this place. That is a bad drawn feeling. Why would we be drawn to this place? Wait, is that Eris? So let's point further into the cemetery. There you see Eris standing in front of the gravestone. She's placing flowers on it and appears to be chanting a short prayer. Well, we found her. We should probably talk to her later. It would be rude to disturb her now. As you're about to leave, Eris suddenly turns to face you. She's far away, but you can see her beckoning you over. Oh, hello there. Were you two looking for me? Sorry, we were looking for you, but we understand if you'd rather talk later. No, I was just finishing up here. Do you have something? Did you have something you wanted to talk to me about? Did I see a misspelling? I just realized that. Well, we wanted to ask you some questions about the case. Oh? The trial. That was my first time watching a court trial. You were truly remarkable. Thank you. Were you in the gallery? I've always enjoyed watching physical battles in the theater, but I see now that battles of wits can be just as entertaining to watch. Entertaining? Yes, I know what you mean. You see, the odds are stacked against him, but then he suddenly pulls out this crazy deduction and steers the trial in his favor. I've never really thought of it like that. But I'm sure it's far more entertaining to be the one making the deduction. I'm not really sure what you mean. I practice law so that I can help those persecuted by justice system. I don't really do it to entertain myself. But is that really true? Wow, don't you find experience with at least bit entertaining theory a bit this whatever this says even a gosh dang it, Don't you find the experience even the least bit entertaining, Tyrion? Finally, jeez, I'm satisfied with that. And her face was all creepy and it turned to innocent. You are suspicious. I wouldn't really put it that way. You're far too modest. You save people from the clutches of death. To your clients, you might as well be a knight in shining armor. Hold on, I want to see this. It's a grave from an individual that you don't know. It'd be best to leave it undisturbed. And then there's this. It's a grave that Eris was at earlier. The name of the stone says Emily Grant, and her lifestone appears to be awfully short. She must have been only 12 years old when she died.
Repario Arcanum!
That is very disrespectful of me, I'm sorry. Anyway, this one, Illusion Magic. Earlier you said that you were studying illusion magic. I am. Did you want to ask me about the prosecution's theory? Yes, actually. How did you know? It was easy to guess after seeing you in the courthouse. Anyway, disguising an undead with an illusion is definitely possible. And as Lady Steelwind said, illusory disguise would be the best spell to use for that. What if someone created a freestanding illusion? A freestanding illusion? Yeah. We know that Wallace didn't animate and disguise the professor's corpse. So, what if the illusion wasn't disguising anything? Maybe someone created a freestanding illusion of bellwethers walking around? Or something like that. One would probably use major illusion. Major illusion. What is it? I don't think major illusion is what we're looking for. Do you remember what John said? I was cleaning a mess in the hallway. Bellwether knocked over a vase, and there were shards and dirt everywhere. If the bellwether that John saw was a magic illusion, a major illusion, then she couldn't have knocked over that vase. Illusions created by that spell don't have any mass. I see. How perceptive of you. Aren't there any other illusion spells that do have mass? No, illusion can only recreate visual and auditory sensation. But there isn't a single illusion spell that someone can touch. So that means that someone disguised something to make it look like bellwether. Why the look of suspicion, Celeste? Sorry, I wasn't... Calm down, I'm only joking. I don't blame you for considering every possibility. In fact, I'm flattered you think I'm capable of pulling off such an elaborate ruse. I mean... anyways, this does tell us one important thing. What? What's that? By the way, I said I mean because she's so suspicious. The bellwether that Jan saw had a physical mass to it. It wasn't a freestanding illusion. It was someone or something disguised as bellwether. Jan's statement has been updated in your notes. Gravestone. It's quite a shame, isn't it? Eris looks pensively at the gravestone. The name on the stone says Emily Grant, and her lifetime appears to be awfully short. She must have only been 12 years old when she died. Sorry for interrupting you. Was she someone you knew? Not personally. I'm actually here on Wallace's behalf. Wallace knew her? Wallace joined the academy as part of the program run by Headmaster Redmond. Do I have an illusion? At the time, the headmaster was reaching out to mages among the common folk. He had started the program to admit these mages to the academy without having to pay tuition. Both Emily and Wallace were among those mages. Wow, that must have been an amazing opportunity for them. The truth is, neither of them actually cared about learning magic. The real problem was that Emily had a terminal illness. She and Wallace were poor orphans, and they obviously didn't have the resources to treat it. But if they enrolled in the academy would be obligated to give her medical treatment. The Imperial Academy teaches the best mages in the kingdom. They thought that curing her illness would be an easy task for the academy healers. But they were mistaken, I'm afraid. I'm sure you know this by now, but healing spells can only treat wounds. They can't cure illnesses. Emily's condition only got worse over the years, and eventually she succumbed to her illness. Wallace was furious. He didn't understand why the kingdom was outlawing magic that could save lives. Wait, Wallace back then was 12? That didn't look like it. And that's why he decided to learn it himself. Yes, the headmaster was inspired by Wallace's resolve. He gave him access to the Academy's forbidden tomes of necromancy. And Wallace taught himself the spells that he knows today. So that's why. It was supposed to stay a secret between him and the headmaster. But I'm sure that's scary. See? Sus. But I'm sure you know how that turned out. That's about it. And we move to possibly the library. Foyer? Let's go foyer first. Okay. Talk. Investigation. There's still a lot... There's still a lot we don't know. Yeah. We know that Wallace didn't kill her, but did the true killer really murder her there? Right. You'll need to go there to find out more. Next lead. Where should we go next? The prosecution believes that Wallace killed Bellwether in the library. We didn't really investigate that room the first time around. We might be able to find some new leads there. Okay. Library! Oh, it's you, Mr. Cuthbert. Dealwyn, what are you doing here? After what happened at the trial yesterday, I decided it would be best to start my investigation here. Right. Wallace was in the library for the entire morning. You know what? Now that I think about it, she did have a good point because Bellwether was around here. But wait, no. They did meet the headmaster. So it can't be here. Right. So it would make sense that she start her search here. Actually, excuse me. Actually, since I have you here, have you seen Eris Ilmater anywhere? It's my understanding that you're both acquainted with each other. Eris? What do you want with her? It's not for anything serious, mind you. It's just that Oath of a Commander lost her spell compendium. Now we need her to produce another one for our records. If you see her, please let her know that we'd like to speak to her. Oh yeah, this one I didn't see! Oh my goodness, I really skipped through. Oh wow. Dang. We saw her earlier in the cemetery nearby, but I have no idea where she is now. I now forget if they ever got it. I don't remember. Maybe they have. Once again, I have to compensate for that idiot's mistake. Anyways, I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about the case. Very well. I suppose I still need to honor our deal from earlier. Any leads? Have you had any luck finding the scene of the crime? Unfortunately, I haven't. From the witness testimony, we have a rough idea of the route Bellwether took, but none of the rooms we checked have any signs of the struggle. Why are you sure that a struggle happened? I'm mainly basing that off of the Iana sister's testimony. Valerie in particular noticed that the bleeding came from a wound in her stomach. Regrettably, the body's wounds were mended. So, we can't determine what kind of weapon the murderer used. Other witness. During the trial, you mentioned that another witness saw Bellwether walking around yesterday. Would you be willing to tell us who that person is? I'm sorry, but I can't tell you that. You're caught a little off guard. You've been pretty transparent with your investigation so far. What changed? I have no obligation to justify myself to you, nor do I have an obligation to help the opposition. Didn't we have a deal? Hiding information doesn't exactly seem fair to us. I believe I've given you plenty of information already, so regardless of what I said before, the answer is still known. Her family is dangerous. The Eye of Horus catches a stray thought from her. Her family is dangerous? What does that mean? Is there something about this witness family that you're worried about? She's scared. No, this could be a feint. I'm sorry, but you'll have to try harder than that if you want to bluff me. She referred to the witness as her. Furthermore, she said that her family is dangerous. Why would she go to such length to hide the witness' identity? In any case, it looks like she's not willing to share more at the moment. Maybe you should try looking somewhere else. Does it say no, move, locker room? Okay. Did I went to the right spot? Okay. You spend some time wandering through the academies when you overhear a conversation from a nearby room. From what I understand, Miss Steelwind has already moved the investigation elsewhere. How long must I wait before I retrieve my thing? Sorry, old timer. Orders are orders. Nothing comes in or out till this case is over and done with. Commander White. And the headmaster too? Oh, hello, Mr. Cuthbert. Hey, kid. In any case, there are other matters I must attend to. Please inform me when I can reclaim my things. Sure. It looks like the Commander White is standing guard in front of this locker room. And it doesn't look like he's conducting any sort of investigation. Is he here on Steelwind's orders? He might be able to tell you who this secret witness is. Headmaster. What was the headmaster talking to you about? Supposedly, he has some items stored in one of the faculty's lockers. The problem is, Steelwind said no one gets in or out of this room. Except for her and you two, apparently. She won't even let the other knights in here. Really? Is that normal? Nope. But things rarely are when she's calling the shots. Why would she give you access to the crime scene if she wasn't even letting the knights in? Steelwind's orders had been added to your notes. I don't know what her deal is, but she has been acting strange lately. She's been real paranoid, that girl. Frankly, I can't tell what's going through her head. Steelwind's paranoia. You mentioned that the prosecutors had been paranoid lately. Do you think it has something to do with this case? Nah, it started way before that. Lately, she's been using the Inquisition to investigate a lot of non-magical homicides. What? Wouldn't it be easier to work with the relevant law enforcement for that? I don't know why, but she's convinced that these cases have magic involved. But we scanned each and every one of those crime scenes. Nothing turned up. I gotta say though, if it weren't for the scan, I might actually agree with her. Why would you say that? Those homicides. I haven't ever seen anything like them. They're probably some of the most screw-up cases I've ever handled. For one of those cases, we had ourselves a disgruntled spouse. She found out that her man was going around with a barkeep. And you know what the spouse does? She stalks the poor woman. She starts leaving threatening notes all around when she worked. The barkeep told the city watch all about what was happening. But no matter how much they staked out the tavern, they could never catch the perp. Then one day, the barkeep arrived home. But little did she know, the spouse was waiting there for her. The poor lady never had a chance. Then, to tie the whole thing together, the spouse waited for her husband to get home. She cooks him a big roast, using the barkeep's room. Oh my gosh, what the fudge? Possible explanation. Wow, that story's pretty... I know. Steelwind thinks someone developed a new type of magic that can control people's minds. And these homicides were some kind of sick test run. Magic that can control people's minds? But wouldn't Mage Blight make more sense? Mage Blight? When the mage overuses their magic, it can have pretty bad consequences on their mind. They temporarily lose grip of reality and begin seeing things that aren't there. When the mage becomes like that, it almost never ends well. They enter a frenzy and begin firing spells randomly, which only makes it worse. I've seen my fair share of Mage Blight cases, and this isn't like that. Not all of the perps were mages, and the ones that were didn't even use their magic. One thing that was that each of the perps almost seemed to wake up after we arrested them. All of them shared things like, "It wasn't me," or "I didn't have a choice." They didn't have a choice? What could that mean? I doubt it means anything. Sometimes people can't face the things they've done. It's easier to say that you have no control than to take responsibility. And the secret witness. You wonder if you can mislead the commander into revealing who the secret witness is. During the trial, Miss Steelwind mentioned that someone other than Jan Hughes saw Bellwether walking around. Have you seen them around lately? We wanted to speak with them. Ha! Nice try, kid. That look there. It was worth a shot. Honestly, I couldn't tell you if I wanted to. I don't think anyone other than Steelwind knows who this witness is. I sure as heck don't. What? She's even hiding it from the Inquisition, Commander? Why is she being so secretive? it looks like the commander doesn't know who this secret witness is either. Is it that blue hair girl that we saw at the end before? Ugh, this isn't getting us anywhere. Tyrion's behavior is strange though. Perhaps you could try analyzing her behavior. If you do that, you might be able to find a way to convince her to help you. Okay. The crazy epic music. Oh wait, no, it's more like mysterious. Da 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 da. Okay, Tyrion's behavior has been strange this time around. She's hiding elements of the case, even from the commander. Anyone can tell that she doesn't have much faith in him. I'm standing right here. But this is the first time I've seen her hide key details of a case from him. What is motivating Tyrion to keep secrets? Okay, sorry. Paranoia. Her actions must be driven by paranoia. She's been hoarding information about the case. There's only one reason why she wouldn't utilize the Inquisition like she usually does. It's because she doesn't trust them. I hate to say it, but that doesn't really surprise me. She's always been standoffish with us. But there is one exception. Who has Tyrion trusted for this case? Us! She let us investigate the crime scenes without any restriction. Yeah, I never really thought of that. Oh gosh, I'm getting hungry. Does she trust us that much? I don't think personal trust is the reason. Why does Tyrion trust us this time? I missed this part. She works with it. Okay. Tyrion isn't a member of... This is actually right. Nobility. No. Oh, whoops. There's a key difference between us. Oh! We don't answer to anyone. We aren't subject. Yeah, you just basically said it. I kind of messed this up. So why would... Whoops. There we go. See? I totally forgot. Isn't controlled. There you go. Whoops, my bad. Tyrion doesn't know much about us, but she does know that we aren't prone to noble corruption. Right. You indicted a noble during the last case. Meanwhile, the Inquisition usually bent the nobility's whim. Well, I can't argue with you there. Using my insight, I could tell that she's worried about the witness family. What can you infer about the secret witness? And if she's worried about the corruption from nobility, that can only mean one thing. The witness is a noble. The witness has to belong to a noble family. If you haven't followed along, so Tyrion is basically being secretive, even though she's shouldn't be, because she's a prosecutor. She's hiding things, and the reason why she's hiding things is because the secret witness is a noble, and the noble is a member of a dangerous noble family. So that's basically what's going on. I didn't explain much about that, so I was just kind of breezing through that thought process. My bad. The witness has to belong to a noble family. That's why she's so wary of the interference. But we're obvious. Oh, and the Inquisition has the history of bending some what do you call that? Bending some evidence and all that due to some corruption and all that stuff. So I guess Theowen was afraid. That the Inquisition corruption might have put blame onto that noble, I believe. But we're obviously not going to do anything corrupt. Why is she hiding the witness identity from us? You recall seeing a thought through the eye. This one. Her family is dangerous. There you go. I think she's worried about our safety. Yeah, I guess harassing a noble could put you in danger. But on the prestige of the infamous Ruby Timora. Yeah, it's not as if we aren't already on the nobility's bad side. I'm sure the Pierce family still has it out for us. This can only mean that the family we're dealing with is even more powerful than House Pierce. If the prosecutor is wary of them, they could even be as powerful as the Steelwinds. Wait, don't tell me you think we're dealing with one of the 4 pillars. 4 pillars? Is a name people use for the top 4 noble houses. These families stand at the top of the kingdom's aristocracy. If I recall correctly, the 4 pillars are House Frega, House Von Sanctus, House Sybil, and House Steelwind. Steelwind is a part of one of them? Yeah, which makes it so much weirder that she's serving as a prosecutor. That evidence. What is it? Steelwind's weird behavior all started after she investigated this room. We were at the crime scene, and she left to follow a lead. But an hour later, she came back to the lecture hall and booted everyone out. Her behavior changed after investigating this room. That means she found something here. And that something must point to a family from the 4 pillars. Excuse me. The commander looks a bit anxious. You know, Steelwind's orders say I can't snoop around here. But you two, on the other hand... Don't worry. Just leave it to us. I have some school records that say which locker belongs to which student. You can use it to tell whose lockers you're looking at. Okay, examine. Oh, there's an arcane construct in the back here. He's probably here to aid the student. Anyways, I don't think it's relevant to our investigation. Sure. But perhaps you should make a small note out of it. And for the record, I even said sure when I first played this, so... But perhaps you should make a small note of it anyway. Construct in the locker room has been added to your note. You used the legend that the commander... blah 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 blah. Blah 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 in the student's name. Wallace Nightgrave. It's bottle of fragrant liquid and something that looks like a makeup kit. Wallace used it? It does seem strange, but it's not your place to judge. Ooh, but remember that Wallace is subject to bully and other students switch the nameplate sometimes. Anyway, you should look through others. Blah blah blah. Miriam Frega. You open the locker with Miriam Frega's ID number. Inside, you find a stack of worn-out textbooks and notebooks. Wait a minute. These notebooks all have Wallace's name on them. You open the notebook and look through its pages. It appears to be research of The Art of Necromancy. These are Wallace notebooks. But why are they in Miriam Frega's locker? Did Miriam Frega steal his things? What's going on here? You and Celeste check the locker more thoroughly. Wait a minute. Tyrion, take a look at this. That's blood. Evidence in the locker. Use the legend that the commander gave you. Blah blah blah. You open this student's locker. Several bottles of lotion. There's nothing but lotion here. Why that many? I wonder why a student would need this much lotion. You take one of the bottles to inspect it more closely. Don't touch those with your hand. Oh. Some kind of sanitizing liquid. It's a little strange, but it doesn't... I think it's implying something there. Wait, this is another noble. You open Warren Sybil's locker. You find some textbook and a neatly stacked tarot card. There you go. It looks like those cards that fortune tellers use. I wonder if the students study divination magic. But anyway, not related. Okay, we're done. We found a few things, but I can't really make sense of any of it. We should look at this from the prosecutor's perspective. Steelwind found something in one of the lockers. Whose locker had the most suspicious evidence? Miriam Frega. No matter how we look at it, we found some insanely suspicious things in Frega's locker. There's no need to explain that. That's already suspicious already. It had Wallace's notebook and even some blood. But that blood is certainly strange. But, I mean, it implies that something bloody was stored there. Do you think someone stole it? No, actually. I think it was Steelwind who took it. Oh right, Oren mentioned that she investigated this room. She must have taken the bloody item as evidence. But with that said, there's something else that's strange about Miriam Frega's locker. It had a lot of Wallace possession. It's possible that she really did steal these items from him. But it's most likely that this locker isn't actually hers. They forgot what was there. There you go. Remember what Wallace told us before? Sometimes the other students would steal the ID number off my locker. Then they switch it with the number of another locker. They thought it was funny whenever the student who owned that locker got angry with me. So someone switched the nameplates. This means that this isn't Miriam Frega's locker. It's Wallace. But that would mean that the bloody object came from Wallace's locker. It appears so. Evidence in the locker has been updated in your notes. But if that's true, why didn't Steelwind present the bloody item during the trial? I proved that Bellwether was wounded before Valerie healed her. Wouldn't that have been the perfect time to present what she found? It was a bloody item found in the defendant's locker after all. She could have easily proved that the nameplates were switched too. Right, that is weird. There's something more to this that you aren't seeing, but what? I think we'll have to just ask Steelwind ourselves. Which, we are going to the library. You're back? We've uncovered a few things during our investigation. Miss Steelwind, are you acquainted with a student named Miriam Frega? I underestimated him. I said it before, Mr. Cuthbert. I won't fall for such obvious bluff. It's not a bluff, Miss Steelwind. and I'll prove it using the evidence we've gathered. It is argument time, which means time to save the game. And I'm gonna put it over here, actually. There you go. Because, argument with about Miriam Frege thing. You can convince her to reveal why she being so secretive. She might give you more information. You cannot say when you're in an argument, apparently. You've been behaving strangely, Steelwind. Even the Knights of the Inquisition have noticed. Please, just tell me, why are you being so paranoid? I'm not sure what you're trying to imply, Mr. Cuthbert. Nothing about my behavior has changed. I've approached this case objectively, just like I have with every other case. But your orders, though. Because you've been doing this on your own. You've ordered the Knights to stay away from the crime scene. And you've even taken it upon yourself to conduct the investigation yourself. That is not normal behavior for the prosecutor. I took those actions because the Inquisition is incompetent. How could I possibly trust them with anything? The Knights are incompetent, but even you could see the value of delegation. During Celeste's case, you still delegated tasks to the Inquisition, and you could have easily investigated the McCoy's tavern yourself, which is the first case of my first video, by the way. This academy is huge. You wouldn't conduct your investigation this way unless you have good reason. Yep, we got her. Then why don't you enlighten me? Why would I act in such a way? What would cause me to behave so strangely? I kind of forgot, isn't it? This one? The 4 pillars of Pillar family? Yep. You know that the Inquisition is corrupt and will bend to the nobility. So what would happen if the powerful noble were publicly involved in this case? With that noble's influence, they'd probably order the Inquisition to conceal their involvement. A high-profile noble is involved in this case, Steelwind, and I believe that noble is Miriam Frege. Again with this, do you think that you can bluff me by throwing out names of random nobles? Not every noble is a malevolent criminal like Garrick Pierce. I said it before, and I'll say it again. My investigation doesn't involve the Fregas. Nothing about this case has anything to do with this house. I'm assuming it's this one? Wait, no. The locker thingy. Then how do you explain this, Steelwind? The commander told us that you were following a lead in the locker room yesterday. We investigated the lockers of students from the 4 pillar families, and we found stains of blood in a locker with Miriam Frege's ID number, and it was presumably left by a bloody object. The bloody object was taken by someone, and we heard that you became extremely paranoid after you found something in the locker room. If I had to guess, I'd say you took the bloody object as evidence. And what evidence do you have to support these outrageous claims? What? The only thing you have is evidence of a blood stain. There is a myriad of explanations for that. Everything else you mention is pure speculation. You can't prove that piece of evidence exists. I could have found any number of things in that room, or possibly nothing at all. Whoopsie. I almost pressed that. Your appeal, you're hiding evidence, Miss Steelwind. Don't you see how wrong that is? I don't think she cares. Rationalize. Let's not be coy, Miss Steelwind. Anyone can tell that the blood stain is the most notable thing in that room. She's still gonna... She's being pushy, so I don't think so. If you don't present what you found to the court, I'll have no choice but to pull the owner of that locker onto the stand. This one, yeah, this one sounds more strong, I would say. You found an object in the locker with Miriam Frega's nameplate on it. If you don't present what you found to the court, I'll have no choice but to pull the owner of that locker onto the stand. That's ridiculous. We both know that the locker in question belongs to Wallace Nightgrave. Can you unequivocally prove that, Miss Steelwind? Because the way I see it, there's a lot of room for doubt there. Enough doubt for me to pull Miss Frega onto the witness stand. But if I had more context, maybe I wouldn't have to resort to that. Argument 1. Well played, Mr. Cuthbert. I suppose I don't have a choice, do I? Yay! Now we talk the truth. Just so we're clear, I wasn't acting to protect the nobility. But I'll admit that Miriam Fregas was the other witness that saw Bellwether that day. I see. I had some suspicion, but there's also another matter. Steelwind looks uneasy. When I was investigating the body, I found this. Evidence of academic dishonesty has been added. What the? It looks like Miriam's been cheating at school. But why would Bellwether have something like this? From the way it's arranged, I think it might have been blackmail. Miriam Frega is considered a prodigy in the practice of conjuration magic. She won a litany of awards, and she will most definitely graduate with honors. If these files were to reach the public, it would absolutely ruin her reputation. Do you think that the professor was trying to threaten her? It appears so. When I discovered this, several elements of the case were still unknown. I decided to look through her belongings, and I mistakenly looked through the locker with her ID. I found this in that locker. The rapier! It's very likely that this is the murder weapon. This rapier is a valuable family heirloom for House Frega. And a few weeks ago, Miriam reported that the rapier was stolen from her room. And then it was found in Wallace's locker. Not that I'm complaining, but why didn't you present this in court? To be honest, I like to avoid involving House Frega by any means necessary. I knew it! You're just protecting her, aren't you? Miss McCoy, do you recall, how Wyverngard justice system works? To acquit a defendant, you need to unequivocally prove that they didn't commit the crime. To do that, they either need a solid alibi, or we need to prove that someone else committed the crime. What do you suppose will happen if you bring Miriam Frega onto the stand? House Frega won't allow one of its members to be indicted in a court of law. They'll plant and forge evidence to implicate your defendant. And they'll use the Inquisition to do so. So that's why you've been keeping them away from the investigation. Can't you do anything? The Steel Winds are powerful too, aren't they? I don't have the support of my house. Right now, I'm just a prosecutor, nothing more. Steel Wind, you know that this isn't fair for us. Just do nothing. Do nothing and let us win. Celeste, if we can't go after Miriam, then you can at least help us save Wallace. I'm not going to do that. Why? What if Miriam Frege is the real killer? Her sword is the murder weapon, and Bellwether was trying to blackmail her. Now that she said that, that means Miriam is not the killer. I seem to recall another case where an innocent person's sword was used to frame them. That, as a prosecutor, it is not my place to decide who's guilty and who's not. I won't engage in corruption, even if it's to counter corruption from another noble house. I'm sorry. Do you know where Miriam is right now? Didn't you hear what I just said? You can't let her think that there's even the slightest possibility you'll indict her. She'll bring the entire wrath of House Frege down on you. Regardless, I can't do anything for Wallace unless I know everything that happened. Frege has the last piece I need to put everything together. Well, I suppose I don't have much of a choice, do I? Her dormitory is room 107. I imagine that she'll be there considering that classes are suspended. Thank you, Steelwind. If I don't tell you, I'm sure you'll probably just find out using some other means. But please, Mr. Cuthbert, be careful. Aw, she's nice. Now we go here. You follow Miss Steelwind's direction and find Miriam Frege's dorm room. The door leading inside seems a lot more ornately decorated than the other dorms. You go to knock on the door, but you don't realize that it's only partially closed. As your fist, what the heck, comes into contact with the wood, you accidentally push the door wide open. Excuse me, how dare you barge into my room? These insects have no respect. Sorry, I mean to knock, but remove these hoodlums from my room. Acknowledge. From the corner of the room, an arcane construct stands up and starts making its way towards you. Before you can protest, it raises its fist to hit you. Dang, look at Celeste. You can only have enough time to raise your arms and brace yourself for the impact. You close your eyes and wait for the blow. But instead, you hear the clang of steel against steel. Confused, you open your eyes and see Celeste standing between you and the construct. Her sword is drawn and she's using it to block the construct's fist. Upon taking a closer look at Celeste, the student stares curiously at her. Construct, stand down. Acknowledge. I'm terribly sorry for that. I wasn't aware that this was your servant. She kinda looked pretty though, I'll say that. Celeste looks angry, but puts away her sword without a word. I haven't noticed you around campus. Are you a new student? If she has a personal attendant, she must be important. What? You see an opportunity. Yes, my master just enrolled here recently. Oh, wait, that means that Celeste is a noble if this noble is being all nice towards her. What? Celeste gives you a puzzled look, but you make a silent gesture back. After a moment, she seems to realize what you're doing. Yes, I just started here. I take it you're Miriam Frege? Yes, I'm honored that you recognize me. Student. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Miss. I'm Celeste. Celeste, Miss. She catches herself and pauses for an awkward moment. Steelwind! I'm Celeste Steelwind! You can't believe her. There's no way she's going to believe Steelwind. It's a pleasure to meet another member of such a esteemed house. She must be from a branch family. Maybe I can use her. I wonder if this is foreshadowing. I wonder. But I will say, it's not revealed here. I will say. But it makes me wonder. Wait, she's actually buying this? I just moved in. And I thought I should introduce myself. Seeing as you're a top student in field of conjugation? Conjugation. There you go. Yes. Well, there's no backing out now. Questions. Miss Frege, I was wondering if we could ask you some questions about... Excuse me, I don't believe anyone has permitted you to speak. Oh, here we go. Celeste is still smiling, but you can faintly hear her grinding her teeth together. So, we heard about what happened to Professor Bellwether. I can't believe it. Yes, it's quite tragic what happened to her. She has always been an acquaintance of House Frege. She appears to be more receptive to Celeste. It might be better to let her take the lead on the questioning. The murder. We heard that you saw her on the day of the murder. Could you tell us more about what happened? Oh, you heard about that from your relative, did you? If you don't mind me asking, why are you so interested? She's not like Arya, is she? Oh, you know, I'm just curious, all. You know how uneventful life can be sometimes, being a noble and all. Alright, tone it down, girly. Oh, is that all? I was worried you were going down the same path as that poor, confused Arya. What does she mean by that? But I'm in the middle of a study break anyways. I suppose I have some time to sate your curiosity. Construct, please prepare us some tea. Use that lotus tea we imported from the Eastern Kingdom. She could be useful if I could win her favor. I acknowledge. Lotus tea? You have lotus juice? You feel like you're slowly losing control of the situation. What did you see? I heard that you saw the professor on the day of the murder. Where did this happen? I was in the hallways when I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She was heading towards the library. Do you remember what time this happened? I'm not really sure, honestly. It's a little embarrassing, but I have a bad habit of getting too absorbed in my work. Sometimes I'll let entire hours pass by without noticing. Do you have a rough idea at least? I think it was in the morning. She thinks it was in the morning? But anyway, did anything seem off about her? No, it was a short encounter. I merely greeted her and she responded in kind. Or at least, that's what should have happened. That thought just now, what does it mean? You slowly glance at Celeste and catch her attention. In small motion, you shake her head to indicate that Miriam is holding something back. Were you and the professor really on good terms? I heard she was pretty mean towards the other students. Towards the riffraff, maybe, but not to students like us. She was a great ally to House Frege. Or at least, she used to be. That's why we were planning on appointing her as the new headmaster. Wait, what did you say? Replacing the headmaster. Did you just say that the family was going to appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster? Oh, I'm surprised you didn't know. House Frege holds several seats on the academy board. We were making plans to have her regard the loud Redmond. They were going to sack the headmaster? Did Headmaster Redmond know about this? Oh, of course not. That was part of a large-scale plan. Along with Redmond, we were also going to replace all of the staff members with Arcane's construct. We had to keep everything under wraps, or else the help would have left prematurely. And where would that leave us? But John supposedly overheard Bellwether talking about the construct. Did Bellwether prematurely reveal the plan? Or was John lying about how he found out? But alas, with Bellwether gone, we'll have to delay our plans. Bellwether plan has been updated in your notes. Frege's rapier. So, we heard that Arya took your rapier as evidence for the case. Can you believe her? She still won't give it back to me. My father will have my head if I can't get it back soon. How did it even become a part of the investigation anyways? I don't know. Arya won't tell me anything. I swear, if that necromancer was the one who stole it, I'll execute him myself. So someone did steal it from you? Yes, from right out of my room. When did this happen? About a few weeks ago. I noticed when I came back from one of my classes. Someone removed a rapier from its display case in my room. How did it get into your room in the first place? Do you think someone used magic to teleport past the door? Please, I'm a master of conjuration magic. If someone attempted that, my enchantment would have shunted them out. This means the thief came through one of the doors or windows. I bet it was that necromancer. I'm sure a street child like him just knows how to pick a lock. Oh, she Yankee. You're great. I've heard that you're one of the Academy's top students. Your grades must be amazing. Of course! As an inheritor of House Frege, my grades are impeccable. It feels so good to have my greatness recognized. That's strange. You don't see anything contradictory through the eye this time. You make a gesture towards Celeste to continue pressing her. Oh, what kind of magic do you study here? You must be joking. I study magic from the School of Conjuration. Just like most members of my house. The School of Conjuration. That's the type of magic that specializes in spatial manipulation and teleportation, right? Yes, I consider myself quite the expert in that field. Why, the Crown Prince himself has asked for my assistance in the research study. It's nice to work with someone of my caliber. Again, you don't see any thoughts that contradict what she's saying. Does that mean she's not lying? If she's smart enough to get the Crown Prince's attention, why would she be cheating? Arya Steelwind. You said something about my wayward relative before. Were you talking about Arya? Oh, I'm terribly sorry if I offended you, but I'm sure it must pain you to see the way she's been acting lately. Yes, it's been extremely hard. Hang in there, Celeste. Do you know that she even interrogated me about the murder yesterday? Can you believe it? A Steelwind running around a crime scene like a common knight. Yikes. Why if I tried something like that, my father would disown me? Does the nobility not approve of Steelwind becoming a prosecutor? You always thought that it is strange. What is motivating her to do this? Honestly, she probably thinks she can do anything just because of her betrothed. Aster deserves better. Celeste's eyes perk up upon hearing this. You'd be lying if you weren't also curious about who this Aster is. But you shoot her a stern look that tells her to stay focused. This is probably for future cases, right? Because I will say, this never came back up. You can't risk blowing her cover for some gossip. That it? Arcane Construct. You have an Arcane Construct in your room. I thought they only had them in the library and the locker room. This construct was a gift from House Von Sanctus. I have to say, they're quite convenient to have around. They look really cool. Maybe I should get one. You should. Construct would be far more useful than this attendant of yours. She's smiling, but she's angry. Unfortunately, there are still some issues with their intelligence. Their intelligence? There are issues when you give them complex commands. It might be easier to show you. Miriam turns to the construct and begins gesturing towards it. Construct, please retrieve my textbook and bring them here. Then, cast Steelwind Strike at this location. After that, retrieve some plates and set them out at this table. Acknowledge. What? The construct stands up and retrieves Miriam's textbook from one of the shelves in the room. It brings them to the table you're sitting at, just like she's ordered. But then, it suddenly stops moving. Wait, what happened? The construct obviously can't cast Steelwind Strike, so my second command was impossible to carry out. But did you notice something else? It ignored your third command too. Correct. My third command was possible to carry out. So why did it ignore that command? Construct execute a series of commands in the order they are given. But let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it will deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether. So, if a task is in the series of command is impossible, then the command will interrupt the sequence of command. Exactly. The construct logic limitation. Lady Steelwind, I'm afraid we must leave now if we want to make our next engagement. Oh, right. Let's go, servant. Oh? Leaving already? It was a pleasure talking to you. Yeah, sure. I hope to see you around. Dang. You make your way back to the foyer with Celeste. With all the time you spent, you only have a brief moment of time before night falls. Are you sure you didn't want to talk to her more? We were getting a lot out of her. We already got a lot of useful information out of her. The more time we spend with her, the more likely she is to see through our ruse. Right. So, why Steelwind? I don't know. I panic. Arya is like the only noble I know. What about Pierce? I'm not using that. Oh wait, hold on. Let me do it this way. I'm not using that creep's name. Well, hopefully Steelwind doesn't mind us borrowing her name. And we got her statement on what she saw that day. Also, there's also what she said about her rapier. I bet she was lying when she said it was stolen. She was probably trying to establish an alibi. I'm not so sure. Why do you say that? Doesn't it feel too obvious? If she was lying about the rapier being stolen, that would imply that she planned all of this in advance. That's kind of like the first case, kind of. But if she had to choose a murder weapon, why would she choose something that literally has her name on it? I understand if the murder was a spur of a moment decision. She might have just used something nearby in this case. But if this was a premeditated murder committed by Miriam, that rapier would be the last weapon she would choose. Right, I guess that makes sense. There's also the evidence of academic dishonesty. It doesn't match up with what we heard from Miriam. I mean, all the stuff about working with the crown prince? She was probably just making things up to look good in front of me. I have an insight when it comes to things like this. Under normal circumstances, I can usually tell when someone is lying. He can't reveal the eye though. And a lie is grandiose that would be something I would definitely see through. People can subconsciously shield themselves from the eye of Horus, even if they don't know about it. But when they do that, you usually can't see any thoughts from them. You also saw that she was lying about her encounter with Bellwether. You would have seen a dissonant thoughts if she was lying about her grades. Well, I guess I'll trust your insight. But what does that mean? I don't know. Even with everything we found, I'm still not sure who the real culprit is. At the very least, I think we should still try to pull Miriam onto the stand. If she testifies in court, I might be able to find something I can use. But that's a big maybe. If you don't play your cards right, you might spook the Fregas enough for them to pay off the judge. What that judge spelled wrong? Either way, it's getting late. We'll probably have to turn in soon. Yeah. You just hope you did enough to acquit Wallace. And there you have it. Let us go. I think I'll save on this one. There we go. So recording went poopy for a bit, but you did not miss much. Trial day 2 started with this lady Miriam being on witness stand. She recounts her encounter with the professor, greeting each other kindly. Or so we think. That's all you missed. So much so that you'll even lose track of the time of day. Yes, but what does that have to do with my testimony? Earlier in today's proceeding, the prosecutor made the following argument. Our first witness saw Bellwether leave the meeting with the headmaster. That would time this encounter around 1 p.m. Excuse me, jeez. Miss Frege, if you had said good morning to the professor, you would have been mistaken, because that encounter could have only happened during the afternoon. And your point is, you said it yourself, Mr. Cuthbert, the witness simply lost track of time. What the witness said isn't what's important here. The significance is in what the professor said in response. She had just come out of the meeting that was scheduled for noon. She would be well aware that it was no longer morning. So why would she respond, good morning? Wouldn't she have corrected the witness? Their encounter was extremely short, and the victim's mind may have been preoccupied. She could have easily responded to the witness without thinking. Gonna be honest, I kind of agree with her. It's not hard to believe that they were both confused about the time. It's definitely a stretch, but you still can't shake the feeling that she's hiding something. Every time you ask her about how Bellwether acted that day, the eye picks something up. There has to be something there. Miss Frege, you haven't been entirely truthful in your testimony, have you? That's absurd. What reason would I have to lie? It's such a small detail. Why does he even care? Every detail about how she acted is important, Miss Frege. What aren't you telling us? Mr. Cuthbert, you have no basis to accuse the witness of perjury. Yes, you will stop this at once. Miss Frege, you're lying about how Bellwether responded to your greeting, aren't you? It doesn't make a difference. All she did was yell at me. All she did was yell? Miss Frege, is it possible that Bellwether's response was less than friendly? What do you care? What difference does it make? Why is he being so persistent? My job is to make sure every part of your testimony is truthful. Every detail matters, no matter how seemingly insignificant. Mr. Cuthbert, you will stop this or I'll find you in contempt. I will find you? The professor yelled at you, didn't she, Miss Frege? So what if she did? She slipped up. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's no going back on what you just said. So, you do admit that she yelled at you. Ah, you impertinent little. Yes, I admit it. The professor didn't greet me back that day. Oh, good morning, Professor. Be quiet. Ooh. She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, we had always been nothing but courteous to each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something put her in a foul mood. But that's it. Everything else I said was the truth. They'll believe me, right? I did see her come out of the headmaster's office and walks towards the library. That part is true. So she wasn't lying about that. So, is that all, Mr. Cuthbert? What do you mean, is that all? You badgered the witness, so you could prove what exactly? The witness committed perjury. The witness changed a small detail of her testimony. A detail that is so inconsequential to the case. It was clearly an act with no malicious intent. After seeing her thoughts, it's hard to disagree with that. You were so sure that the eye would lead you somewhere, but Frege was only lying to save face. The witness saw the victim leave the headmaster's office and head toward the library. Do you have any concrete evidence to refute that? No, I suppose I don't. Wait, is this really okay? At this rate, this will be the only chance you have to cross-examine her. I don't think she's lying anymore. And I was really pushing my luck earlier. If I continue pressing her, the judge might actually charge me with contempt. But if Miriam isn't the one lying, then... The defense has no further questions for the witness, Miss Steelwind. The prosecutor stays silent for a while. She almost looks disappointed. Very well, Miriam, you are dismissed. Miriam still looks like she's fuming, but she leaves the room without protest. The judge breathed a sigh of relief as the young noble is escorted out of the room. Now with that out of the way, what else do you have, Mr. Cuthbert? The only way to refute the prosecutor's theory is to cast doubt on one of the witnesses. If it wasn't Miriam, then... Steelwind, to test your theory, we must question every witness that saw the victim that day. So with that said, the defense would like to call Jan Hughes in the stand. I hope you understand, Mr. Cuthbert. Your entire case rests on the assumption that one of the witness accounts is incorrect. If your cross-examination of Mr. Hughes leads nowhere, then I hope you're ready to concede. You don't like the sound of it, but she's right. Unless you can find something in Jan's testimony, you won't really have anything to disprove her theory. Bailiff, please bring in Mr. Hughes. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. Oh. Witness, name and occupation. Alright. My name is Jan Hughes. I'm on a cleaning staff of the academy. Mr. Hughes, please testify to the court about your encounter with the professor that day. Sure. I saw the professor when I was cleaning the West Wing hallway. It was about 20 to 30 minutes before the body was discovered. She walked by me, but she looked pretty out of it. I heard she was undead when this happened. Pretty creepy if you ask me. After that, she went into the empty classroom. Well, that was straightforward. Come on, Jan. What are we supposed to do with that? I don't know. You guys are the lawyers. I'm just telling you what I saw. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Alright, so... I forgot which one. I saw this... That sounds right. Pretty out of it. That sounds a bit weird. I believe you've forgotten a few details about what the professor did. Yeah? Sorry. It's hard to remember these things sometimes. Which details should you ask him for? That third one was not that detail. Did she do anything to you? Did she touch anything? She make any sound? Oh yeah, that's right, because he mentioned that she said be quiet. Did you hear her make any sounds? Oh, yeah. After she knocked over the vase, she yelled at me to be quiet. But I didn't even say anything. This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes. Whatever you say, man. After that she went to the empty classroom. Which one is it? Is it this one? I think it's this. Where you say something about animate corpse, right?
Objection!
Ah, I was right. Mr. Hughes, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled me to be quiet. Yep. What? What? I thought it was weird. I didn't even say anything. But I know better than to talk back to her. That's the thing, That's the thing, Hughes. The prosecution's theory is as such. The professor was murdered in the library and was reanimated using animate corpse. Which, with a quick illusion spell, no one would notice that she was undead. However, if what you saw was truly the undead Bellwether, how did she speak to you? This doesn't make any sense. Mr. Hughes, undead can follow simple rules, simple orders, but they don't have the intelligence to speak. Perhaps the witness was mistaken. No, I'm sure I heard her yell at me. I remember because of what she said didn't make any sense. Exactly. He didn't say anything, but she still yelled at him to be quiet. Wait a minute. I'm afraid I don't understand. We already established that the victim was dead long before her encounter with Mr. Hughes. But if what she saw wasn't an undead, what was it? It had to be an undead. What other explanation is there? It couldn't have been a major illusion. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to shove Jan out of the way or knock over the vase. Whatever it was, someone probably used illusory disguise to make it look like Bellwether. Does it mean it was a person? No, if it was a person, how did Bellwether's body end up in the lecture hall? Bellwether wouldn't have been able to turn herself invisible if she was dead. And whatever John saw, it needs to be something that could have transported Bellwether's body unseen. It would have also needed to have a mask and the ability to speak. Or what created Bellwether's voice? Or at least it needs to be something that can recreate Bellwether's voice. Bellwether. What could have done that? Arcane construct. I'm pretty sure it's that. Yeah, it is. That's it. Huh? What's it? She's so shocked. What is it? Do you have an answer for us, Mr. Cuthbert? What did the witness actually see? Your Honor, the witness didn't actually hear the dead victim speaking. What he actually heard was her voice being recreated using magic. Are you trying to say that her voice was recreated using a spell? Not a spell, Tyrion. It was artificery. And whoever the murderer is, they had the perfect piece of artificery available to them. One program with Catherine Bellwether's voice. Huh. You can't possibly mean... That's right, Steelwind. What Mr. Hughes saw was an arcane construct. An arcane construct? Think of it as a magically animated suit of armor, Your Honor. But we ruled out such a possibility, haven't we? Construct or not, no one can disguise themselves and carry the body to the classroom. A person wouldn't have been able to do it. But arcane construct are a different thing entirely. Those suits of armor are extremely large, but more importantly, they're hollow. I see. That means that theoretically, someone could have placed the victim's body inside it. The arcane construct wouldn't just transport the body. With an illusory disguise, it would have confused and mislead anyone who saw it. Objection!
Objection!
I knew it. I commend your deduction, Mr. Cuthbert. I would have never considered that possibility. It's certainly plausible. But what does this prove exactly? It proves that the body wasn't animated using necromancy. My client isn't the murderer. The defendant is still capable of performing all the acts that you described. His compendium contains illusory disguise after all. There were several students in the library that day. Any of them could have committed the murder. One might come to that conclusion if they didn't have one crucial piece of evidence. I'd like to present a new piece of evidence to the court. You see, it's a bloody rapier. Is that... Yes, Your Honor. This is the murder weapon. She was saving that for the perfect moment, wasn't she? This rapier was reported stolen by Miriam Frege weeks before the murder, and during the investigation, it was finally found in the defendant's locker. Wait, he was clearly trying to use one of her possessions in a paltry attempt to frame her. Why, he even stole her locker's nameplate and placed it over his. Dang it, that's not what happened. But honestly, it sounds more plausible than what really took place. We're basically back to square one, aren't we? Anyone could have told that construct to do all those things. Wait, anyone? Is that really true? No. The construct transported the professor's body, and someone used an illusion to make it look like her. They even use a pre-recorded voice to make the illusion more convincing. Could anyone have done that? Ordered the construction to hide the body. Could anyone have done that? Not really. I first thought it was illusion. I had a feeling it was either this one or this one. Cause both of them can, it says anyone can make, I can't talk well. It says anyone can order the construct. But if I present this one, this is my first guess actually, when I first played this. No, that's not right. The construct are available to the student, but not all of their functions are enabled. And this is where this one caught me. Who would have every function available to them? That's when I thought, ta-da! Several memories flood back to you. Mr. Hughes, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled at me to be quiet. And now that I think about it, it's like a pre-recorded, I'm sure. Not I'm sure, I know. She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, we had always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what had gotten to her that day, but something put her in a foul mood. Be quiet. Sorry. Be quiet. Eris begins giggling. She seems amused by what's happening. That didn't happen twice though, that's the thing. The construct's voice is just a series of pre-recorded messages. I'm not sure if you noticed, but it uses the voice of Professor Bellwether. Unfortunately, you can't make them say anything other than what's recorded. Look at this! This one! This is creepy. Only the headmaster can change those settings. No, it can't be him. What is it, Tyrion? Did you figure something out? I did. But is he seriously the one behind all this? Miss Steelwind, earlier you said that my client could have orchestrated this entire ruse. You know, now that I think about it, who basically gave Wallace the permission of necromancy? They also know necromancy, I'm sure. But that's simply not true. How so? Anyone could have ordered the construct to carry out the victim's body. Yes, but not everyone can change what the construct are able to say. Only one individual have the credential for that. Theodore Redmond, headmaster of the Imperial Academy. Dun, dun, dun. Wait, you're not serious, are you? You think the headmaster did all this? I don't want to believe it. But he's the only person who could have done it. That's completely ridiculous. Headmaster Redmond would never do something like this. Miss Steelwind, there's one common element between each of the witness encounter with Bellwether. It's what Bellwether said to them. She yelled at both of them to be quiet. Miriam Frege was particularly surprised. She had a good relationship with the professor, but when greeted by the professor, Bellwether just shouted at her, almost as if the professor was responding indiscriminately. And recall her encounter with John Hughes. The professor knocked over the vase and shouted at him to be quiet immediately after, even though he hadn't said anything. She was responding to the sound of the vase breaking. Now let me ask you this, Steelwind. Where did Bellwether come from before she encountered Miss Frege and Mr. Hughes? Her meeting with the headmaster. appears that the defense truly means to indict Theodore Redmond. If so, we have no choice but to take a brief recess until he can be brought back here. There's no need. Boom, 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 dun dun dun. Fortunately for you, I'm already in the gallery. Sorry, I'm also watching a stream at the moment. The headmaster stood up from the gallery seat behind you and slowly walked onto the witness stand. Has he been here the entire time? Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cuthbert, but do you think I am the one who committed this crime? I'm sorry, Redmond. But no matter how I look at it, everything I've found points to you. No, there's no need to apologize. In fact, I should commend you on the lengths that you're going to defend. I should commend you on the lengths that you're going to defend dear Wallace. The court appreciates your understanding, Mr. Redmond. He angry. Now then, to clear the air, I suppose I should give my testimony on what happened that day. Ding! That day, I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. She showed up at the expected time, and we discussed various administrative matters. Our meetings went on for an hour, after which she left to prepare for her next class. Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another. This sounds wrong. After all, this one sounds wrong. I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her. I just can't see it. He seems like such a nice person. Don't believe what you see, Celeste. Is he really the person we're looking for? He has to be. No one else could have orchestrated this entire plot. You just need to find out how. As far as I know, this one. Did I do this? Really? Even after the way she acted toward the student and faculty? Make no mistake, I heard many complaints regarding her action. And I've had conversation with her to try and correct her behavior. But at the end of the day, she was a remarkable professor. No, she's not. Regardless of her lack of people skills. His testimony pretty much matches what we know so far. I'm not entirely sure if he's lying or not. But at the very least, we know that he was involved in the professor's murder. But why? If you can figure out his motive, you might be able to find out how to reveal him to the court. Okay, so it has to actually be percent. And isn't it reputation? What was it? Or family? No. The headmaster's action? No. This one. Yeah, plan. To replace all staff, right?
Objection!
Redmond, did you really had no animosity towards Professor Bellwether? Of course not. I did have strong opinions about her methods of teaching. I am getting tired. But I always remain professional. We both did. Frankly, I find that hard to believe. Why did I give preppy voice for him? In fact, I think you might have a very good reason to murder the professor. Considering that she was going to take your job. What? So, you knew about that. I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Just how was the professor going to take the headmaster's job? According to Miriam Frege, Catherine Bellwether was currying favor with the noble families. In fact, there was a plan to oust Mr. Redmond and appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster of the academy. What? But in any case, I doubt that the headmaster had any idea of this until now. I like to remind the court of the witness reaction, right? Just now. He said, "So you knew about that." His reaction was one of surprise. But he wasn't surprised by this information. He was surprised that I knew this information. Please, dear Arya, I may be a frail old man, but I'm perfectly capable of defending myself. He looked angry there for a moment. If you have an explanation, Mr. Redmond, then by all means, I love to hear it. Gladly. It is true that I knew about Frege's plot beforehand, but I only just learned about it. On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as headmaster and replace the staff with her arcane construct. Now you might say that this would have given me the perfect motive to murder the professor. However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Miss Frege. This happened weeks before the murder and my discovery of the professor's treachery. I had no knowledge of their plan before she told me, and therefore I wouldn't have known to steal Miss Frege's weapon in an attempt to frame her. Are you satisfied now, Mr. Cuthbert? There's no way the headmaster could have come up with this plan. If he really did do this, that means he stole the rapier too, right? Most likely. His alibi makes sense. He couldn't have planned this whole thing unless he knew about Bellwether's plans. He didn't learn it on the day because, that would mean he knew about this week ago. Just basically, I should have read this first. But how did he even find out? The best way to tell a convincing lie is to leave a lot of truth and only change one detail. Maybe Bellwether did tell him, but she actually told him weeks ago. The question is, how do you prove that? Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Alright, which one is it? I only just learned about it? So you only learned about it recently? Doesn't that seem a bit too convenient to you? Yeah, it may appear that way, yes. But told me about on the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. I don't think so. She was going to replace me as headmaster and replace the staff with her arcane construct. That must have infuriated you. Your colleague betrayed you and attempted to steal your job. I'm only human. I was taken aback. Of course I was taken aback. I've been headmaster of the Imperial Academy for decades. Ooh, there is emotion. To think that the professor and the board would go around my back like that. Nuh-uh, hold on. She even... This one... It's this one, the second one. And this one. This was supposed to be kept a secret, but according to John, Bellwether revealed this plan to the headmaster during a meeting a few weeks ago. Haha!
Objection!
Redmond, you keep saying that you didn't know about Bellwether's plot before yesterday. Do you still plan on standing behind that claim? Of course I am. because it's the truth. I'm sorry, Redmond, but you should really close your doors during your meetings. What? New emotion? Did someone see? It is true that Bellwether revealed her plans to you during one of your meetings. In fact, Jan Hugh happened to overhear that same meeting. But he only overheard the part where the staff would be replaced. Huh. And that's the strangest part, Redmond. According to Mr. Hughes, this meeting occurred weeks ago. You can't accuse the headmaster of perjury based on a rumor. Everything you've just said is based on second-hand information. Mr. Hughes distinctly overheard that the staff would be replaced with Arcane construct. That is too specific and too accurate to assume that he misheard a different conversation. The professor probably only revealed her plan for the Arcane construct. That still doesn't prove that he knew about her treachery beforehand. Professor Bellwether has no authority over the cleaning staff employment. It wouldn't make sense for her to just reveal her plan for the Arcane construct. That would only make sense if he knew that Bellwether would be taking his job. So tell me, Redmond, why did you find the need to lie about this? Is it because you saw a need to protect yourself from my accusation? Redmond, I ask you a question. Did you murder Catherine Bellwether? Ooh, that's creepy. What a fine mess this is. I'm not done. Not yet. Headmaster? So, you truly plan on pushing this, are you? Well, your thesis sounded promising, Mr. Cuthbert, but I believe your arguments could use a little work. You think I killed Catherine Bellwether? Me? I am an elderly man in his late 80s. I was alone and had nothing to overpower Bellwether with. I can barely walk, much less wield a rapier. It's not him, but it's this one, right? But you and Bellwether weren't the only people in that room, were you? You needed the Arcane construct to carry Bellwether's body. That means the construct would have already been in your office. And with your privileges, you can easily reprogram the construct to stab Bellwether for you. Even so, think about what would have transpired afterward. Recall Miss Steelwind's timeline of Bellwether's witnesses. With your theory, the construct would have spent more than an hour in the library. Having it there would risk my so-called ruse from being discovered. Luckily, Lady Frega can't tell night from day. Hold on. I wouldn't have the construct linger around the library. Use this against claims that contradict through the eye. Use this against contradict the displayed emotion. Use this. It was this. Because this doesn't go like scared or mad, and that doesn't sound like it. So use against claim that contradicts thought seen through the eye. Okay. The timing deduced from Miss Frega's testimony is predicated on one thing. She saw Miss Bellwether exit your office after your meeting. However, if we assume that you're lying about when this meeting ended, your entire argument falls apart. Miss Frega would have encountered Bellwether after her death at 2:01 p.m. Miss Frege wouldn't have made a mistake like that. Miss Frege thought it was morning when she saw Bellwether. She can't reliably tell the time. Bam. Then what about the rapier, where the rapier was placed? If I really was the murderer, then that would mean I planted the weapon in young Wallace's locker. Several of the students had lockers there that I had access to. I wouldn't have placed the incriminating evidence in that locker. Wallace is one of my prized students. If I had to frame anyone, he would be the last person I chose. What was it? Evidence in the locker? There's a stained blood. Or this one. It was reported stolen by Miriam Frege weeks before the... Huh? I mentioned the switch thing here, I think so. You're right, Mr. Redmond. You wouldn't try to frame Wallace, but you would try to frame Miriam Frege. It would have been the perfect act of revenge, wouldn't it? You murder your treacherous co-worker and frame the daughter of the family that helped her. But something went wrong, didn't it, Redmond? The labels on Wallace's locker and Miriam's locker were switched. Anyone who saw that would have easily mixed them up. I am the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. I have records of all the students' lockers and where they're located. There's no reason I would make a mistake like that. If I truly planned it, I would have known where Wallace's locker was. A simple change in labels wouldn't have led me to make a careless mistake like that. But the thing that we said is not related, but let's just keep it anyway. Hello. But it wasn't you, was it? Your arcane construct was the one who planted the rapier in the locker. Huh. I bet you commanded it to place this rapier in the locker of Miriam Frege. But it saw the ID number on Wallace's locker and assumed that it was Miriam. Redmond begins desperately stammering, looking for something to say. Miss Steelwind, say something. What? Mr. Cuthbert, your theory may be plausible, but there's no evidence to support it. Ha! That's right. You don't have any proof, do you? There's no evidence of my orders. Saying that I could have committed the murder isn't the same as proving I did it. It's this one. I love how when they said that this is not major evidence, and then suddenly it's becoming the major evidence. Your arcane construction is still in the locker room where it planted the rapier. All we have to do is take a look inside it, and we'll see the blood inside. Is that so, Mr. Cuthbert? What? Why does he look so confident? No, Mr. Cuthbert, I already checked the inside of that construct during my investigation. The interior was completely clean. What? The construct's primary function is to assist and clean, dear Tyrion. They have their function that allow them to clean themselves, inside and out. Well, we can still look at its command history, right? Think about it, Mr. Cuthbert. Do you honestly think that the murderer would leave behind evidence like that? I'm sure that whoever orchestrated this plot, they ordered the construct to wipe its logs when it was finished. No. That's right, Mr. Cuthbert. Your case against me is theoretical at best, but I suppose I can still give you marks for trying. Dang it, he thought of everything. Was he seriously able to get rid of all the evidence? Nuh-uh. You're running out of options, but you still have one tool left. Huh, it's unbecoming to glare like that, young Tyrion. He's doing it again. Bring yourself back to the moment with Garrick Pierce. Think about what's at stake for Wallace, just like you did with Celeste. His life and his future are in your hands.
Naught can remain concealed.
You activated the empowered eye again. Yeah, that's right. That was the ending of the first case. I forgot about that. Redmond did a good job of covering his tracks. But there has to be something that he forgot to get rid of. Project? Wait, it's this one. He did... Yeah, I was thinking of this. The construct orders were clear. Plant the body in Lecture Hall 2B. And then plant the evidence in Frega's locker. It was supposed to head to the storage room afterward. What happened? Interesting. The construct wasn't supposed to be in the locker room. So that one is what's gonna get him, because Miriam mentioned that if there is an order that the construct can't follow, basically, like it's impossible to follow, it will like cancel all the other and it goes in order too. The commands should go in order. Then that means that all the other commands after the impossible one will not count. So it basically stops. So yeah. Project. What next? Do I need to do more of this? I don't remember. The construct orders... Oh wait, no, never mind, sorry. I think this one. Why was the construct in the locker room though? It shouldn't have been there if it had followed my orders. No matter. It wiped its logs. They have nothing on me. So he did order it to wipe its logs. In order to cover all of its tracks, it probably would have done this last. Wait, he ordered the construct to go to the storage room? It would have done that after it was finished planting evidence in the locker room. But we found it in the locker room. What stopped the construct from leaving the locker room? Wait. See? The Academy's lockdown is a system of artificery. I need to check the other one though. Inactive 1. This one, because artificery. Right. The body was probably reported earlier than Redmond expected. This means he probably started the lockdown before the construct was finished in the locker room. How did the lockdown affect the construct action? What was it? Oh wait. Is it Redmond? Was interrupted by the lockdown, right? Ah! Redmond. Sorry, I thought the hour. Oh my gosh. Right. The series of commands would have been interrupted. Wait a minute. Construct execute a series of commands in the order that are given. But let's say that one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it will deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether. So if a task in the series of commands is impossible, then the command will interrupt the entire series. The construct's final command was to wipe its memory. But if its orders were interrupted by the lockdown, then Miss Steelwind, I have nothing more to ask the witness. What? You're not giving up, are you? Do you even have to ask? Yeah, I thought so. But how are you going to prove he did it if he's not testifying? Don't worry. The next witness testimony will be all I need. Next witness? That look on your face isn't one of defeat. Just what are you planning? It's nothing but desperate bravado. Now, if you'll excuse me, you are so full of yourself, I thought you were nice. You let your quarry get away, Mr. Cuthbert. I hope you know what you're doing. I do, Miss Steelwind. First, I like for the Inquisition to bring in the Arcane construct in the Academy locker room. We've already established that the murderer could have wiped its history. Please, just humor me for a second, Miss Steelwind. Very well. Bailiff, please relay Mr. Cuthbert's request to Commander White. Well, here's your construct. I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Cuthbert. Construct. What are your orders? I don't know why I said it like that. Please recite your command history. Reporting. Command 1. Haha. If the command was wiped out, then they wouldn't say something like this. Command 1. Stand in headmaster's office. Command 2. Await vocal signal attack from Theodore Redmond. You hear Redmond stand up from the gallery. Seeing this, the prosecutor watches him and carefully clutches the handle of her cane. Oh snap! Command 3. Treat Catherine Bellwether as a hostile entity and neutralize. Construct! Wipe your... Oh no! It almost... when I said it that way, it sounds like Hadouken. Oh gosh. Before he can finish his sentence, the prosecutor points her cane at the headmaster. Magical energy shoots from it and collides directly with him. The magic wreaths around his body and stops him from moving. He's clearly trying to struggle against it, but it looks like he can't even move his mouth. Miss Steelwind, excuse the interruption. Please continue. Command 4. Command 4. Await vocal signal. Leave from Theodore Redmond. Command 5. Move to Class 2B. Reply to any inquiries with voice. Line number 3. There you go. That means be quiet. Command 6. Did it say Command 3? And then it jumped to Command 6. Did it? I'm not reading well. Remove Catherine Bellwether from interior frame and place on floor. Thank you, Construct. You can stop now. I think we all know the rest. But just to be clear, who gave you this series of commands? Commands were provided by Headmaster Theodore Redmond. How? I ordered the Construct to wipe its command history. Mr. Redmond, Construct don't follow the same logic that humans do. They're prone to error when their commands are impossible to execute. Impossible? In what way were my commands impossible? You were the one that made it impossible. You activated the lockdown system. The lockdown? The body was found earlier than you liked. You had no choice but to immediately activate the lockdown system when it was reported. However, the Construct was still in the locker room when you did this. So that's why it was there. The Construct finished its task in the locker room, but then it tried to follow your next command. It tried to move to the storage room, but it was prevented from doing so because there's some barriers, right? Is that what it is? I didn't understand for a moment before on why that was, but I think that was it. Completion of that command was impossible. So, the series of commands was stopped before it wiped its history. You little... Theodore Redmond, you order your Construct to murder Catherine Bellwether. Then you had it place the murder weapon in a locker room. In the locker to frame Miriam Frege. And we have your Construct testimony to prove it. And that's checkmate. I can't believe it. How could you do something like this, Headmaster? She was going to take everything from me. My position, my academy, my students. Everything would be gone. It was going to be stolen by her and the Fregas. Why didn't you say anything to me? I could have... Don't you dare stand there and act ignorant, Lady Steelwind. Do you think that Fregas acted alone? Your father was a part of this plot too. What? I have nothing to say to you. I thought you were different. I listened to your lies about societal reform. In the end, you were just like the rest of the aristocracy. You don't have to be so mean to her. By the scale lord, what have I done? I was even willing to sacrifice poor Wallace. I can't believe Why did I do the... There was that glitch from Eris! So if there was a glitch, and we know that the glitch is from Eris, then something he said. Why did I listen to? Eris have something to do with that, I think. It appears we have a full confession. The court sees no reason to prolong this any further. Bailiff, please escort the witness to a holding cell. There was no, little mallet thingy? Mr. Cuthbert, you really did it. It feels amazing, right? Like a big weight being lifted from your shoulders? It does, but I can't believe the headmaster was the one who did it. Right. Despite everything Redmond did, he was the one that allowed Wallace to pursue his dreams. I'm sorry. I'm sure this is bittersweet for you. What am I gonna do now? Headmaster Redmond was the only reason I could even attend that academy. With him gone. Come on! Don't think like that. You got acquitted. I'm sure it'll all work out. You want to agree, but necromancy is basically taboo. Without Redmond's support, there aren't many places he could learn it legitimately. And then there's the Imperial Academy. Hey, don't you get all sad on me too. Sorry, I was just thinking. With Redmond gone, the Fregas will probably just appoint another sycophant. What does that mean? As the headmaster. Valentina, Valerie, and John, they're all going to lose their jobs. Come on! You found the truth and you put the murderer behind bars. You saved Wallace. She's right. As you start, where have you been? Start to exit the courtroom. You're greeted by Miss Timora. Was she in the gallery this entire time? At the end of the day, you save Wallace from a wrongful conviction. You should be proud of yourself for that. I suppose you're right. Maybe I am just overthinking things. But the doubt still lingers in your mind. Now, come on! I'm taking Wallace to the restaurant we went to last time. Do you remember how much that place cost? Don't worry, I have plenty of gold. Am I the only one in this team not making any gold? Why don't you meet us there, Celeste? I need to talk with Tyrion for a moment. Alright. Let's go, Wallace. Okay. You activated the empowered eye again, didn't you? She doesn't appear to be praising you. I did. I didn't really have a choice. The Eye of Horus is a powerful tool, Tyrion. But that's twice now that you've used the empowered eye to get out of a tough spot. You can't keep relying on it if you want to grow as an attorney. One day, you'll find a witness that the empowered eye won't work on. It worked for me this far though. But I suppose you're right. I'll try to rely on it less next time. And that marked the end of another case in my career as a defense attorney. Another life saved and another murderer brought to justice. But I still couldn't shake this feeling of uneasiness. Was it guilt for what would happen to the faculty staff? Or was it something else? Episode end. And then this is the part that kind of got me all excited to play more of this game. Man, Stalewind has been talking with the perp for hours. What's there to even ask at this point? Turns out, she doesn't trust his testimony. Something about his memories not matching up with the crime scene. You don't think he has mage blight, does he? No, it's not like that. She found that dang symbol etched into his desk. Or what did she call it? The purple mark? Oh, for the love of... Not this again. Look, if the little lady wants to chase this boogeyman, just let her. At least this time, she's doing it personally instead of dragging us into it. Cast sleep. There is this one. It's Eris. Oh. Hey! What's up with... excuse me. Who did this to your desk? What has gotten into you? I've already admitted to everything. What more could you possibly want from me? Where did this graffiti come from? Why did that sound too preppy? I'm so sorry. What is this symbol? What is the purple mark? I don't know. A student must have done it at some point. Think very hard, Headmaster. When did you receive this purple symbol? Focus on the moment you received this. Wait a minute. I remember it now. But how? She's asleep. Lady Thilwyn? Lady Thilwyn! Arya, what happened? Are you okay? Is he behind bars? I think she's behind bars. That was close. My elation over meeting him almost made me forget. Eris, what are you doing here? I'm only doing the bad voice acting thing because it's getting close to the end. Why? Wait, I remember now. It was you. You put those ideas into my mind. That glitch in a few minutes ago. Excuse me. You're the one who told me to murder Bellwether. Oh, you humans never fail to amuse me. I didn't make you do anything. Everything you did that day, all the planning, all the preparation, that came from your own mind. And I have to say, I was quite entertained with the scheme you came up with. What? Why, you even broke into Miriam's room. I didn't know you had it in you, old man. You made me forget about our conversation. But how? Illusion can't affect the mind. Magic can't affect the mind. It's a shame, though. I would have much rather turned Wallace into the antagonist of this chapter. Could you imagine if he turned? It would have been spectacular. Armies of the undead running rampant into the street. But, alas, even I couldn't corrupt his pure soul. Answer me. Who are you? What are you? Who am I? I'm the Lord of the Sixth Circle. That sounds really ominous. Whoa! And there you have it. There you have it. The end of Case 2. And because of that ending, it made me want to play the rest of these 3. I don't know how often will I play this, but I will do what I can. But I definitely do want to play this. So don't worry. It may sound like I was a little bit not that it may not have been too much of a blind playthrough for this case 2, but case 3 through 5 will be more of a blind playthrough. So, there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will have more playthroughs of this, and I know not all of them. I know these kind of stuff doesn't really work well, but I still want to try my best. But if you liked the video, if you made it this far and you enjoy, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you would like, and stay tuned for more. But until then, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Take care.